Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Godol Mamio, and welcome once again to the Africa Sports Consultancy live feed. Tonight, we have a Zimbabwean ex-test cricketer. We have someone who's been through the ranks, he's been a player, and he's on the other side of it now. And tonight, we're chatting to Mr. David Mutendera. David, how are you doing?
I'm great, Godwin. How are you, Godwin?
No, I'm very well, thanks. You know what, you're not the first to get that one. My brother's called Godwin, so there's always lots of confusion.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, eh? Godwin, Godwill. Yeah, but it's good to be here, Godwill.
Yeah, it does get a little bit tricky, but yeah, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you get, so to get the slot with you is a real honor and a privilege, eh?
It is a pleasure to be here.
Now, it's a weird times that we've just gone through, and you've probably just faced the brunt of it now with the Zimbabwe A and South Africa A 4-day match being called off because of this COVID situation. How are you coping in Zimbabwe at the moment?
No, we're great, actually. We've been operating in the bubble, and we've been getting our matches going, and we've been traveling as well. As you know, we traveled to UAE, and we actually traveled to Pakistan last year during the COVID era. So we've been very good. It's just unfortunate that we had a rise in the COVID-19 cases in Zimbabwe, and the government had to make that call, which we adhered to. But the government again is just announced that we can resume our training, and obviously we have to apply for Bangladesh to come and tour end of this month. So we play them in a test and 3 ODIs and 3 T20. So everything is in line, and we are happy. We're good to go. It's just been disappointing that the SA versus Zimbabwe matches where the last one was called off, but we had played the majority of them, and we are grateful that we're actually playing some sports during these difficult times.
Fantastic. And, you know, hats off to the organization for putting all of that together, you know, during these tricky times. You've seen how with the football, it's been quite tricky, and with other sports codes. So big hats off to you. But again, we don't want to dive too much on that because you're the star of the show tonight. And there is so much that I really want to dig into and ask you. And I'm sure our viewers also want to hear quite a lot from you. And you're on the other side of it now. You know, you are now convener of selectors for Zimbabwe cricket itself. And to think some 10, 15, 20 years ago, I don't want to give away your age, but let's just say a couple of years ago, you were on the other side of it, bowling your heart out for Zimbabwe. How does it feel now being on the other side as convener of selectors?
It's exciting, to be honest, Godwin, and you know what, to always give back to the sport that gave you the most. It's unexplainable, to be honest. It's a great feeling to be involved, especially at that stage, international stage. And it's something that I cherish and I like doing. It's not an easy job. As you know, I don't work with myself. I've got 3 other fellow selectors, and I chair those selectors. It's like a comeback, to be honest. It's just that, to be honest, if I can be honest with you, the fortunate bit about it is that I'm not the one playing. So this time around, you are selecting. So it's a bit easier there if you're not playing, but you get nervous, especially to see the players that you've selected perform, or before they perform. You're always curious on how they're going to do. And when they do well, you've got that tingling feeling, that excitement feeling that you've done the right job yourself and the fellow selectors. And but to be honest, you're dealing with people's lives here, and you got to make the right decisions, and also you got to make the best decision for the nation rather than for the individual. It's exciting, to be honest, and I love the job.
Fantastic, and it's great to hear that. You know, selecting a team, I know even just a club team, no one's going to be happy, and you're going to have enemies along the line and friends along the line. But for the greater good, you're the guy in the driving seat, and everyone is looking at you. You know, it can't be easy. But you know, you talk about how much easier it is for you, you know, not being the one playing, and that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about your playing days. You know, you one person who you're almost 2 meters tall. If we were to round it off, you're 2 meters tall, charging in It's been a while now. We talk about your first class debut, if I'm not mistaken, 1998. And you must look back fondly on those days.
I do actually, but it feels like time has just flown away by so quickly. Playing this was fantastic, to be honest. I was a youngster. We just enjoyed playing this game, and I didn't have a lot on my mind, but I just wanted to play, to be honest with you. But it started back at Prince Edward School, where I started to excel in the sport. But having been groomed in Glenora, high densities of Glenora, where I started playing this game at the age of 10 years old, and I never looked back. You know, I was kind of forced to play in the game because we had to have two sports that we had to play, and I was a goalkeeper at soccer, and my headmaster just said you can't play one sport during the year, so I had to join cricket, and I started as a wicket keeper, and I just used to love just keeping because it was in relation to football where I was a goalkeeper, and then I started learning how to bowl because we had to play a 7-a-side where basically everyone had to bowl, and I was a wicket keeper, and I learned the ropes then, and I never looked back, and majority of my success came when I got selected for the under-15 national team. That's when I was 14, and then from there on made the national under-18s, under-19s. My best success, to be honest with you, was being selected for the Ward 11 at the under-9 after the under-19 1998 World Cup in South Africa. For me, it's the biggest achievement that I've ever done in my life, besides being selected for Zimbabwe. And looking back to that, there were other great players, and one which comes to mind is Flintoff, Andrew Flintoff, Abdul Razak, guys like Shaka, the left end of South Africa, the left end of South Africa, Jack Rudolph,
Jack Rudolph, yeah.
Yes, that was the squad. It was a great achievement for me, to be honest. And from there on, went to the Plastic Cricket Academy in South Africa after the Under World Cup for 4 months, and then I got selected for the Zim team in 1999. I remember debuting in Kenya. That was in October, and it was a great achievement, especially rubbing shoulders with guys like Andy Flower, Pumelo Lombangwa, and Henry Longa, who had already made the strides into the national team then. Those guys were quite helpful, and I would love to relive that life and do more, as I feel I could have done more. But you know what? I can never regret the opportunities that I got and the God-given talent that I had, and I'm forever grateful. If I could do it again, like what I said, I would do it again. Sometimes when I select those guys, I feel like I would love to just get in a couple of overs and nick off a couple of guys, batters, top orders, and knock over a couple of those good batters. I still got a passion. That's my point, and the passion carries on, especially in selecting. Yeah, but it has been a good ride, and I miss playing, to be honest.
I love it. I love it. I love your passion. I'm going to give you away your age now. At about 42 now, you're still believing you can nick guys off, and I've no doubt that you can still go on and do that. And you've spoken very fondly about your time playing in that World 11, 1998. I want to go back to that in a second. But for me, it's before we get to talking about World 11, you make your test debut at 21. And you're probably not, with the numbers you're putting up, your performance you've just had in 1998, you're probably thinking, it's going to happen much quicker, but it happens at 21. Great. Yeah. But do you remember how that debut went for you?
If I want to be honest with you, Godwill, it wasn't my greatest feeling ever, to be honest. There was a lot of political issues which happened then. And, for such a great show, sometimes it's the platform to mention it. I got selected because I did well prior to that. Under 19 World Cup, I did well for the national team, and I'd done well for the first class matches that I played prior to that. I'd already played since 1999. Before I was 21, I think I made my debut when I was 20. Yeah, and some of the few players in the team the senior players wanted to boycott, and they say that why is this guy being selected, and he shouldn't be in the squad. It felt horrible, Godwin. It's not my fondest memories, my test debut, to be honest. My ODI debut, I've got memories about it. I still have my cap and I have it with pride, but my welcome to the team was awful. I felt lonely. Walking into the changing room, knowing that players had to be forced back to play by the board and say, you know, the selectors, you're just one of the players. You can't comment on why a certain player has been selected. And there I was as a 21-year-old, having done well and just wanting to play. I felt no welcome. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to tarnish people's images and whatever. You know, as much as they felt that way, that they were not in a position to make such comments and degrade me mentally like that. That I didn't enjoy my debut for Test cricket. It was awful, and come to think about it, having to spend 5 days in the changing room with the guys that a few guys who thought that you're not supposed to be there, and it was not great. But I'm grateful to have, but it was disappointing. That's my fair assessment of the whole Test debut, to be honest. Not the greatest.
I love your honesty. I love your honesty because a lot of the guys today would have come out here and said how memorable it was. And, you know, there's obviously you've waited so long to play for your country, but then if it's going to go down the way you've said it's gone down, it's very sad to hear. And it's a memory that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. And
yeah.
if I am going to probe you to go there, but now you're saying other guys felt like you shouldn't be in the team. Now, is this based on performance? What is the basis of them feeling like you shouldn't be selected?
There was a lot. To be honest with you, it's something that I started questioning myself because I had the stats, and the coach was one of the guys who wanted me to be in the squad. The selectors had selected me. I don't select myself. I was a 21-year-old. Even besides, if I wasn't a 21-year-old, even if I'm a senior, whatever it was the case, some other people select you. And you can't have other players thinking you shouldn't be in the team. Then there's disorder, isn't it? And it didn't. I think some people felt threatened by upcoming youngsters in the team and the change in terms of how the dynamics of the teams was going. And I don't want to bring the rest issue of it, but it felt like that, and because it came from the other side, and disappointing. But that's what it was. And you know, when you feel that you're not welcome, you always want to leave the place as soon as possible. And it left a scar on me, and I can never be apologetic to mention it, because I think I need to mention it, because I've got kids now and I want my kids to be in an environment where they can excel and fight for themselves. Yes, I did the best that I could, but I felt like I was hard done, and it wasn't my choice to select myself, but there was no need for senior players to act like that. And to be honest with you, it's something that the world needs to know. And sad, really, and then something that I don't like to talk about. But like what I said, I still have my test cap with pride, and it really affected me, and I never moved forward from that. As much as I fought hard to then try and make it in the test squad, kind of felt like, you know what, at this format, it's like one of those special group of players who think this is the pinnacle of the game, and not many people should just be entering it.
Look, I can see the fire.
Oh, segregated, yeah. Sad.
I can see the fire. I can see the passion, and we can really go deep down and talk about this. And from hearing what you're saying, in summary, I can almost say what happened to you then would not happen today. In the current climate that there is today, it would be something.
Life is supposed to be fair. Life is supposed to be fair. I'm a teacher slightly, and you got to bring up a child the best that you can. Give them the best opportunities. Give them wings to fly, and do not destroy their dreams. And if you do that, then that's the worst thing that can happen. You can do to a human being. And those people were in the wrong, and they made me stronger. I was always strong, but I had to just mention that because it's you don't do that to an upcoming youngster or to any youngster who is trying to make it out there in the world. Give them the best, give them the wings to fly, so that they can be the best that they can in whatever they want to excel in. And if they're not good enough, you tell them. But in this situation, like what I said to you, I was selected because I was good enough. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't select myself, and they didn't have a place to say that publicly and wanting to boycott a test match because Mutendera was picked. How harsh was that? That's disappointing. That's mentally trying to disintegrate me mentally.
Yeah,
it's hard. You know, it's better to tell me in my face, you know, as an individual, rather than going public. As an individual, I can face it. I've faced a lot of things in my life where, you know, in cricket, Godwin, we chap each other. Chapping is basically when you're trying to talk off a person so that you can offset them in a match situation so that you can take advantage and then excel over them. This was a different scenario. This was more of mentally disintegrating you in the public. And for a youngster, it just wasn't the right thing to do. So
certainly wasn't.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Certainly wasn't. No, certainly wasn't. And your passion is what, you know, it makes the story so tangible. It's not just some story someone is telling, it is so tangible. And I can feel your passion sitting from here. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have just tuned in, we are chatting to David Mutendera, former Zimbabwe Test cricketer, now convener of selectors for Zimbabwe cricket. Someone who, as you've heard, it's actually heart-wrenching to hear the experience he had to endure. But tell you what, today he's in a position that he's able to provide these opportunities for people. So I guess in another way, you could say that experience of preparing him for this role that he's in today. But in saying that, there's an aspect of you I've not talked about yet. And you alluded to it just now a little bit, where you said you were kind of a teacher. It's brilliant how you just slipped it in there. And now tell us about that.
I'm a sports admin. I work at a school. It's a great school. And I've been working there, I think, for about since 2007. And I coach cricket and I coach football, which is soccer. I like to call it football because that's the right wording for it in English. Soccer is an American term. And then I'm a sports admin, so I'm full time with the school, and I also now double that up with being a convener of selectors. So it's similar roles, very similar in every sense, because I select kids into teams, I select kids into certain disciplines of sports, and you got to understand how you're going to deal with people and how they're going to take setbacks out, and how you build character, and how you're honest with an individual. So it works hand in hand, and I think that's one of the aspects of me being a convener of selectors, that I'm already working in development via school, and I've been coaching under 14s as well. So a lot of young players that you actually do see. I've worked with them as well. You know, you want to talk about current players or making now Mutendera, Myers, even Ryan Murray, who recently did set up a contract with Zimbabwe Cricket. They all came. I coached them as well. So that's the job that I do, and I'm still doing what I like doing, and I like what cricket has given me, that opportunity to excel in the sporting field. And I've actually done more in coaching and grooming youngsters than I've done playing for the national team in terms of cricket. So yeah, that's my job. Part teacher, you know, I inspire and motivate and build youngsters for the future. And for me, when you see them excel and they're forever grateful for what you've done for them, it means a lot for me, more than anything else. to build a character, to give people lives, you know, by just supporting them or encouraging them. The words of what's the affirmation, you know, so when you encourage people or commend them, that's the best thing you can do. You build people. When you build people, you feel so great. That's the best feeling I can ever get. And for me, I'm doing the best job in the world, and I love it more than the playing days. And that's why it always goes back to my chess debut. Someone needed to build my character, and they could have made me a better person, but they actually did make me a better person because I wanted to change that. But that wasn't my aim, but God ended up putting me in that position, and I ended up just doing it naturally. And I realized the same could have been done to me, but you know what? I've been put in that position to correct things which are wrong, which we do to kids or upcoming youngsters.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely unmatched. The passion, the honesty, the drive, and where you're coming from. It comes from such a great place. And it's people like you who, it's a real inspiration. And it is a breath of fresh air to come and speak to someone who's not reading from a script. It's absolutely brilliant. And in me saying that, you know, with what we are busy with as Africa Sports Consultancy and trying to drive is that aspect, is to say, can we, like you said, that words of affirmation, can we provide a space where youngsters and upcoming youngsters have got a space whereby they can tell, are they good enough, are they not good enough? They can make that choice in life. But we are saying, don't be stuck with one aspect. You've got so many options in life. And, you know, we've spoken on our side, we speak to financial planning, personal development, sports mentoring, and also legal support, which is an area or an element that you would also know from your experience that has lacked a lot within the sporting fraternity in Zimbabwe. So in me saying that to you and us bringing up that awareness, what was the transition like for you when, you know, you went from playing and going into coaching and into admin? And before you answer that question, we've got viewers at home, and I know I already have questions from people on Twitter that they want me to ask you, but all of you who are watching, this is your chance now. Pop your questions in the chat while David answers this question now. So yeah, like I was saying, your transition from playing into, you know, the backroom staff and also school at St. John's.
Transition was natural, to be honest, and you know, after kind of like drawing to my end of my international career, I had to find something which which put food on my table to carry on. And I realized that, you know what, cricket is what I had and what I had the passion for. And so I basically just went into coaching. And because I had attended the Classical Cricket Academy when I was younger, so we go through courses, we do courses as well. And then I upgraded myself. I went to one of the courses that was held by Dev Houghton in Zimbabwe Cricket. And that was during my playing career. So I went back into my files and realized, you know what, there's no need for me to keep on trying where I'm failing and I'm not getting a living. So let me go straight into coaching. Went into private coaching, started doing one-on-ones. And then one of my clients just said to me, don't you want to work in an environment where you've got an income which is secure, you know? Why don't you apply to schools? I never had that idea. I still wanted to play first class and coach. And I took it up and I realized, you know what, let me try it. And I realized actually it's a good environment. And I started working at Olympic actually as a part-time. And then from there on, I just applied to St. John's and they took me up. And I've never looked back. And I'm forever grateful, especially to the headmaster at St. John's Prep to start off with. That's where I started 2007 to 2010. And I want to mention his name because I'm forever grateful for such people, you know, especially him taking me as just an ex-professional cricketer into a full-time job and mentoring me. Mike McKenzie was awesome. And then 2010, left St. John's Prep, worked for Zimbabwe Cricket as a development coach, and then moved back to St. John's College now, which is the high school to St. John's Prep. So the transition was good, but it wasn't perfect because I had been a professional cricketer and had to really adapt to having a basic job. You know, when you're an international cricketer, or an international player or professional sportsman, you know, the rewards of a professional sportsman are really good. And back to normal working hours. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but you have to adapt to life. And I did.
Well, hats off to you. And you know, you're one of the privileged ones who were able to make that transition. As tough as it was, you made that transition. And a lot of the time, that is also the gap we want to bridge. I've spoken about youngsters, but it's about older people as well, finding a way to make that transition from your playing days into your actual working life. And it's important to have the skills and to develop yourself early enough to be able to do that. But that's a long conversation. Let me go to the questions. I have so many questions that have been put forward. I'm going to have to sift through some of them because there is quite a lot. But I think the first one I'll ask you comes from a guy on Twitter. He goes by Chikomana Chekuseri. That's what his name on Twitter goes by. And he's put through a bunch of questions, but I'll put through two. I'll give you the first one. The first one he says is, how does Zimbabwe retain players? A lot seem to be leaving the country for university or for alternate jobs. And then I can tie that into another question that he has here, that he says, can the talent that we have now sustain the game at international level? So I think you can take those two both at once.
Yeah, let me shoot quickly on that one. We have to offer them competitive contracts. And as you know, Zimbabwe cricket has a debt, a lot of money that they owed. And this current administration has done well and they've covered that. So, you know, the contracts that they were offering were not as competitive as the ones offered when kids opt to go to England, to go play for England. Those who got opportunities to go play somewhere else for, you know, test cricket, as they say, or international cricket. But with the talent that we have, yes, we can, and we are managing. And there's some guys who go abroad and still come back because it's hard for them to make the national teams there. We're in a transition where we've got youngsters coming up and we've got senior players, as you know, your Brennan Taylors, your Chakavas are in their 30s, your Williams are all in their 30s, and then we've got youngsters coming in, your Myers, Dion Myers, Newton, Shumba, Mutendera, it's just hit the ground running. We're in a good space, and we got Raza. So we got a mixture of experienced players and inexperienced players, young players building up for the 2023 World Cup. We've got our 20 points, 10 points, which we are happy with so far, that we won, that match we won against Pakistan, which gives us, you know what, which leaves us makes us, we are in a good space. And we're going to play Ireland and Bangladesh, and we aim to collect more points so that we can qualify for the 2023 World Cup without having going through the qualifiers with associate nations. So yes, we have the talent, but with time now that ZC are managing their finances well, we're actually going to be attracting more better players. There's going to be more contracts, better contracts, which are going to be offered to players, and that's going to be great for us. But as it stands with what we have, we're in good space.
Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. And I'm not going to go back to Twitter. I'm going to jump to Facebook. Look, there's tons of questions coming through. Normally we finish at 8 o'clock, but I'm going to give it a couple more minutes because there's tons of questions. People have got so much to ask you. But I'm looking in the Facebook chat here. There's the latest one I'm seeing. Okay, this one is a story. It's a story. It looks like it's. I won't tell you who said it. I'll tell you at the end. But it says, yeah, when we went for Zim trials in grade 7, I was playing against David and I was on 43 at T. He came up to me and he said, do you know that if you score 50, you'll be considered for partridges? I appreciated that. I didn't even know that. I just enjoyed batting. I didn't score after T. And the last time I faced him was in lower 6 and he got me out for my first ever golden duck. Do you want to take a guess who that is?
No.
Okay.
That's a long time ago.
That came from a Bainham Tanaka Goredema.
Oh, nice.
That's where that came from.
Yeah. Really.
Fantastic. Okay, so I've gone on Facebook. Let me jump back to Twitter.
Yeah.
Jump back to Twitter here and see. What other question can I give you from Twitter?
Give me any. Give me any.
Okay.
Don't be shy.
Okay, I'm not going to be shy. You gave me the green light. Question. Accusations have been thrown about on selection issues bordering on nepotism, favoritism, and also corrupt tendencies. Can you clarify this?
I think selection is not easy, Bobo. You know, even if you pick any squad, there's always going to be people who got their own views, and it's a difficult one. It's never biased. Like what I said, there's 4 of us. There's also the coach involved. There's also the assistant coach involved. There's also the bowling coach involved. There's also a batting coach involved. Selection in cricket, to be honest with you, other than any sport, is the most fairest. Why? Because it's basically a committee of selectors. I chair the selection committee. It's just that I've got the last say, especially when there is, you know what, if we can't reach an overall decision, I can step in and say, no, I'm going that way. If we're split on one player. And majority of the times, you are looking at what the people are wanting. So 4 selectors, the head coach, the batting coach, the bowling coach, the fielding coach, right? There you go. Your director of cricket has to just oversees the team. That's what it does. Sends it to the managing director and the chairman of board for approval. And those guys, the director of cricket and the chairman of board, do not make any changes. What they can only say is that, no, this player has got a certain issue with discipline and we don't want him in the team. That's the only time they come in. The people who make decisions, the 4 selectors, the head coach mainly. The head coach gets all his information, obviously, from his what? From all his assistant coach. So there's a panel of about 8 people who select the national team. There's no nepotism there. It's best. One thing about cricket is best, biggest, and sometimes we go with what we believe is right. Sometimes you can have a player who's performing in franchise and then at international level, they struggle. Then it ended up going with guys who know how to play well at international level, and those agreements are done between the coaches and the selectors. I think that answers the question. It's different from football where the coach is the only one who makes the decision by himself.
I couldn't have answered that question. I couldn't have answered it better myself. The way you put it out is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's also to say that, guys, don't just point the gun at David. There's lots of other people to point the gun at. Look, there's so many questions. I'm flooded by questions, especially on Twitter. I'm not going to go through all of them. That's not going to happen. But I think a conversation like this, David, it wouldn't be fair for us to walk away from this conversation and I don't ask you this question. And that question, I'm not going to go dated too far back. I'm going to make it relevant in your space currently now. So like you mentioned, you've got youngsters like Wesley Madewere, you've got youngsters like Milton Shumba, Dion Myers, you know, all of these youngsters who are coming up. Now, dwelling on your playing days and your experience that you've gained, what advice would you give youngsters like those and other youngsters still coming up through the ranks in terms of their playing career, be it cricket, it could be soccer, wherever it could be? What advice would you have for a young person, boy or girl, watching this show right now today?
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. And you always got to try your best at everything that you think you can be able to achieve. Dreams actually do come true. That's why I said, if you work hard at what you think you can succeed in, and you put everything into it, your mind into it, no one can stop you from achieving that. You got to be mentally strong and do not let anything distract you from your goal. And you go for it. And you'll be amazed on how much things you can achieve in life if you only try. But if you don't try and you think, hey, this is too hard for me, you can never know how good you are at anything if you don't try and take that first step. Always take that first step. Stay humble. Be a person of integrity and work hard at your goal and you will achieve. Integrity, right? And have the passion and have a good work ethic and you will achieve. The sky's the limit for everyone in the world. You just gotta have the self-belief and have a great mental fortitude That's all I can say.
Words of wisdom. Wise words given here by David Mutendera on the show. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Work hard at your goals. The sky is the limit. I love that. The sky is the limit. And as you heard right here, right now, as David said. And if you are looking, if you're going to take David's advice, if you're going to look to be setting goals, be sure to visit our website at www.africasportsconsultancy.com. Go there. There is a goal setting tool that you can use there. You will love it. But David, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming out and chatting to us. And hopefully this will not be the last that we hear from you.
It's been a great show, Godwin. And it's been nice catching up with you. And I really enjoyed it too. And I hope to have such a conversation in the future. And you've got a great show going on there. What a, and thank you.
Cheers. Thank you very much. If it was just up to you who selects the team, then I could have then made the team after this conversation, but I'm out of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Stay safe. Keep looking after yourself. Keep looking after your loved ones. Most importantly, sanitize. Keep those masks on. And until next time, take care and see you then.